Kings, queens, and in-betweens. Welcome back to the City Boys Podcast. Let's go. I'm one of your hosts. It's your boy, Grayson. I'm here with some of my best buddies in the entire world. Ethan, what's going on?
Yo, we're still here in the corner. Still another day in paradise, gentlemen. We're outside the city on this episode, but nonetheless, I am delighted. Jacob, how are you doing?
I could be doing better if you can't hear it. I am battling a little bit of a cold, but we do have a new background for this specific segment of our YouTube channel in Outside the City. So drop a thumbs up for the new background and let's get into it, boys.
Yeah, that's right, guys. We are back and we are chatting outside the city, even though this matchup technically took place inside the city
Literally in
at
the city.
CITYPARK. Yeah, so that's right. We're talking about USA versus Jamaica, and it was a hell of a matchup. Before we get into the game, if you guys haven't seen yet, we did throw up a match day vlog. Ethan and I got to go to the match. Ethan threw together and edited this little vlog together. It was super awesome. So please go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Super fun. But yeah, it also throws in the goals if you want to see those too. So definitely check it out. But it was an awesome game. So let's dive right in. I know Ethan's gonna start it off with the lineups for this match.
I would be so glad to talk about this lineup because it's one of our strongest. Maybe the strongest since Poch has arrived. Fat Mob has them going out in a 4-2-3-1, but if you were watching the game, you know how fluid not only the attack but the defense was as well. Starting between the sticks, Matt Turner retaining the starting goalkeeper. I think this is a clear message from Poch that Matt is the number one going forward. From right to left across the back, Joe Scally, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, the hometown man, and Anthony Robinson. A very strong back line, looked a lot like a back three at times. Moving into the pivot midfield roles, Weston McKinney and Tanner Tessman. Maybe not the norm for the U.S., but it could be going forward. From right to left on the attacking midfield now, Yunus Musa staying out wide, still with Pochettino. I'd like to see it. Pulisic in the center with Tim Weah back on that left side. So good to see him back in the starting 11 and producing for the men's national team. And of course, up top, number 9, Ricardo Pepi, back once again, back with another goal too. Really strong starting 11 for the U.S. men's national team. All 5 substitutions were utilized. Brendan Aronson and Gianluca Busio came into the game for Pulisic and McKinney. Brennan Vasquez came on. Kate Cow made an appearance, and Alejandro Zendejas. Boys, what did you make of this starting 11 and then the substitutes as well? Because I think the last 3 especially are pretty notable. Jacob, you were watching the game on TV, so I would like to hear what you saw first.
I really liked the substitutions. Truthfully, the one thing I would have done differently, and this is probably my only knock on Pochettino in this round of the tournament, was giving Tim Weah a curtain call, let him sub off in front of the hometown crowd and get a standing ovation. But then again, the defense was doing just well enough that probably taking off a center back at that time might not have been the greatest idea. But of the substitutions that came in and the lineup, I really, really liked seeing Christian Pulisic at the number 10 role. I think he did a phenomenal job. Yunus Musa can play anywhere on the field in my opinion. So having him out on that right attacking he was on the right attacking mid side for this game. I thought he looked really good. The team looked really, really fluid, and Ricardo Pepi getting on the score sheet in the second game in a row starts the argument of who should start up top. What did you see from the lineup, Grayson?
Yeah, I really liked the kind of offensive shuffle that Poch threw together this matchup. We got to see Tim Weah on the left side, which we don't get to see super often. But I was really glad to have Weah back in the lineup. Either wing, it looks like he can play either side for us now. And he was one of our best players in the World Cup in the last World Cup. So I think he is a very important player going forward. Um, he's getting his minutes with Juventus right now. He's starting to become really high caliber player for both club and country. So I'm really excited for him. Pulisic, of course, getting minutes at his new, possibly best position in this number 10, which is really cool. Um, and this next one brings up a debate that I did want to talk about is Yunus Musa at the right wing, kind of right attacking mid position.
Mhm.
He still had a fantastic game, got an assist under his belt. But for me personally, I don't think that is Musa's best position. I think Musa is better in the midfield. Personally, I'm a big fan of wingers who like to really go at their defender, take them on 1v1, which is kind of what Tim Weah does. And Yunus Musa, I feel like he used to be a right mid. Poch saw that when he played for Valencia, I believe. But for me, Musa has more of a creative spark about him. He's not as much of a 1v1 type of player. So I see him less as a take your man on, drive to the line, and more of uh, a creator. He might take it to the line and cross a ball in or rotate the ball around, but is less of a take the man on. And we did see that a lot with McKennie overlapping, which was really nice because we do have Anthony coming into the midfield and kind of running a double pivot with him and Tessman. So that
Right.
allows McKennie to push forward a lot too. So we're really overloading that right hand side. And you still have Weah battling out on the left. So may not be my best spot for Musa, but I do think he's still very productive there.
Grayson, I'm not sure that I 100% agree with you on this because I think Musa's been looking really impressive so far for the U.S. in this position. And I think that when Gio Reyna is at full health, he could make an argument to be in that position. So I think right now this is a temporary solution for Musa. Although I also don't think you're wrong that he does really well in that traditional midfield role where someone like Weston McKennie is right now.
I would agree with the both of you. I'm gonna play the Swiss Alps in this scenario. I think because Yunus Musa is so good, he can play anywhere on the field. And with the amount of talent we've got right now, it's tough to not have him start. So getting him in a midfield position is number one, the job for the manager to do. And when you've got a performance like Tanner Tessman had at center defensive mid, and I'm sure he was looking good throughout camp, you're going to have him start there. We saw in leg one, McKennie didn't look great at Cam, but McKennie is also a pivotal part of this team. So he dropped him into CDM. So then what do you do with Yunus Musa? Well, we don't have a bunch of right wings that are healthy right now or that have had a lot of time with the current lineup that's out there. So you slot him over there. He does a good job. He does get an assist. And I think it also gives a different challenge on either side of the field. You've got Weah going 1v1 against his defender over there, and then you go to the other side of the field, and you've got Yunus Musa and Weston McKennie or Ricardo Pepi and Christian Pulisic linking up for passing plays to get around defenders. I think it's a really nice balance and differentiates our attack going forward, having him in that role. But I would say his best position is probably at that center defensive mid role.
Mm.
Yeah, there's not too many attackers that I'd really switch him out with. Like obviously the best right wing we have is Tim Weah. Um, so with him playing on the left, the only other people we could see would be like Brendan Aronson, who I just haven't seen enough from him recently to think that he'd do a better job than Musa. Cade Cowell, I think, is a fantastic player. I'd like to see him get more minutes for USA, but at the same time, he's not in the starting 11 for me. And then I guess Alex Zendejas would be nice. Still another player we haven't seen a lot of for the USA. But out of all of these guys, I would put, if I had to replace Musa with anybody, I would put in Malik Tillman. I really rate him. His season with PSV is going super well. Let me see. He's got 12 matches, 5 goals and 1 assist in those 12 matches. He's still only
Not bad.
22, still only 22. So I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I'd like to see him grow into this team and grow along with the squad, but we'll still have a lot to see from him.
I will say about Yunus Musa though that I think his he's shown improvement and making a name for himself in the team. And I think other players doing that in this squad specifically from the Nations League are Ricardo Pepi, Mark McKenzie, and Joe Scally. Those are three names that I think have really made a some difficult decisions coming up for Poch because when we have a fully healthy U.S. men's national team with the likes of Flo Balogun and Serginho Dest returning to the squad, there's going to be challenges. And I want to talk first about Pepi because when Balogun is playing with the national team, he just brings such a different striker level than we've seen in a long time. Pepi slightly more familiar, that more hold up build, but also good at getting in behind in the lines. That's how he got his first goal against Jamaica in the first leg. I mean, so I'm curious. I honestly I would kind of love to see the two play in tandem together, but I don't know how we work the rest of our best players into the side with both Pepi and Balogun
Right.
in the side. So come this next Nations League game, if you were Poch, Grayson, I'll go to you first. Who would you put in there, Balogun or Pepi?
So for me at the moment, I'm riding with Pepe. He is the hot hand um, for club and for country at the moment. He's got 6 goals and 1 assist in 11 matches for PSV as well. PSV, if you guys didn't know, PSV really is, they've taken over from Leeds as the USA home base overseas. They've got a ton of people. They still got Dest, they got Malik Tillman, they got Ricardo Pepi, and they've also got there's a right back in there somewhere.
Is
Um,
it, is it one of the boots? One of the booth
no, the
players?
Booths do play for the same team that is not PSV. Let me see. Let me see. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Real quick.
This guy doesn't know ball.
Jacob, while Grayson
Ah,
finds that.
Ricky Ledesma, if you remember
Oh,
him.
wow.
Ricky Ledesma, right
Kind of
back
a deep
as
US
well.
cut.
Deep cut. But he also plays for PSV. So for me, I'm going rocking with Ricardo Pepi. He is the hot hand. What do you say? He has 4 goals in 4 games for USA right now, um, which is possibly the stat, but I think he's really solid. He's looked really good. I think Balogun is 1v1. Balogun is more talented, but right now I think Pepe works with the team better.
Hmm. Jacob?
I am all for riding with the hot hand. The striker position to me for the U.S. men's national team is still very up for grabs in the fact that like Pepe could have a good showing in the last two games like this, but if he goes back to club and he kind of gets into a little rut, Poch is going to see that and he might throw somebody else up top, just whoever's the most in form. Because our strikers all give us different looks going forward. Like Pepe is good at getting in behind and he's technical enough on the ball to give himself a half yard to take a shot, like in this most recent goal he scored. Then you've got Brandon Vasquez, who's very much more of a target forward. He's a bigger body. He's going to win those headers in the box. You've got Josh Sargent, who's rapid and can get in behind, but he likes to work in the half spaces and play off of the players around him. So each striker gives us a different look, and whoever's got the hot hand is going to change up how we go forward. And I think the rest of the team is good enough to adapt to who's playing the number 9 role. But right now, if the USA were playing tomorrow, Pepe's starting at number 9 for me.
Both very good cases for Ricardo Pepi, gentlemen, and it's hard to argue against right now. With Balogun, just I don't want to say inconsistent because generally he performs for the US in the Gold Cup. He was good. Just want to see him stay healthy while he's hurt, though. I feel good about Pepi. I like his attitude as well. Uh, he got asked a question about being called a super sub, and he was like, I I don't want that role. I want to be the main man, and I like that quality in a striker. I want the striker to be. I want him to be the man. I want him to, for lack of the better term, I want him to own that role of scoring goals. But I think we've talked about the players quite a bit. Do we want to talk about the game a little bit?
I think one last debate needs to be had is at that right back role. You slightly touched on Joe Scally, and I am a Joe Scally believer. In both watch-alongs and prior to that, when we covered the USA versus Panama and USA versus Brazil, I have been high on Joe Scally for a long time, and I think he is our best out and out right back as far as the typical responsibilities of what a right back's supposed to do. Now, there is the arguably one of our more creative players in that role as well, and Serginho Dest, who is coming off of injury here shortly, but hasn't seen a lot of minutes because of the knee injury that he had, and that is going to be a really fun battle. I wish I could be a fly on the wall for those training camps to see the two of those men go at it. But I'm
True.
going to jump to Grayson. Peak Serginho Dest, and then we'll take Joe Scally versus Vinicius Jr. Who are you going with?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me personally, I am still on the Serginho Dest train. I still think he's my number one. I think he's incredible, incredibly talented. He could even be one of the best players we have on the US team, in terms of talent. But with injury, with discipline issues. Of course, he got a red card in his last match. There is some issues in his game, but at the same time, I've also seen Joe Scally really start to build up in this time and play really well. Of course, in his best game, locking up Vinicius Jr. In his worst game, I don't know what his worst game is yet, but I will say today or for this match, he did not impress me. Um, we won 4-2. I think this game should have been 4-1, 4-0. I think we could have kept a clean sheet, but just like I've said many times with St. Louis City this year, simple moments where we lose our heads, lose focus, and just let players run by us. We had two goals that could have easily been prevented by either Mark McKenzie or Joe Scally, but neither seemed up to it. I'm thinking of the first goal specifically. It was a ball crossed in from the right side of the field. Joe Scally and Mark McKenzie just stood there watching the ball instead of seeing where Jamaica was, and Jamaica Damari Gray just ghosted into the box with not a single man marking him. And then he just tapped it in. It's way too easy. So for me, there's still so many defensive issues with USA that I'm seeing that I'm still not set on this back four at all. The only person I'm set on this back four is Anthony Robinson. Um, Tim
I think
Ream,
that's fair. I think that's fair, Grayson.
Tim Ream he's getting up there in age. I still think he's fantastic. He misplaced one pass that entire match. Definitely mo one of the most tidy players we have on the ball, and I can definitely tell why Poch keeps him around at this moment because even though we probably should be building for the future, Tim Ream is our quarterback right now in the back line.
It's clear that he brings that veteran leadership and experience, that calm presence on the field that I think really benefits our generally much younger while still experienced squad. Back on Scally and Des, though, they this is a such a debate that makes me so happy because this is a good problem to have. We have two really good outside backs at and in one position that bring two totally different games. And so when we are coming up against opponents like Jamaica, where they have really electric wingers like Damari Gray and Leon Bailey, and we need a lockdown defender, I think we bring in Joe Scally. Whereas we might play a team in the World Cup like I can't really think of it, Canada doesn't have, well, they do have electric wingers, so not even Canada. When we play a team that doesn't have as electric of wingers that play a more central game, I think is when Serginho Dest comes into the fold and starts tearing it up that right channel. Dest, it's been a while since we've seen him at full health, but on the ball, he is so good. He is such a good dribbler. He is so good at creating spaces and chances for other people that it is so beneficial to our attack to have him in. Whereas Joe Scally, not sending in those early crosses, not necessarily stepping into the six role like Anthony Robinson, but one-on-one versus a very good winger, he is going to give them a good battle. So right now, I'm totally comfortable with Joe Scally retaining that starting role as Serginho Dest gains fitness and form. But going into 2026, it is going to be a battle across the back line.
I will say, like, if we go back and watch that last goal for Jamaica, it was not Damari Gray. I don't remember who was running at Joe Scally, but he didn't do anything. He sized up his man and just kept backing up until he was in the box, and then his man cut inside and put a ball in. Matt Turner made the save, but had to parry it into a group of people. Damari Gray buried it. It's moments like that that I do think Joe Scally is a better 1v1 defender than Serginho Dest, but it's moments like that where you just keep constantly backing away from a defender or from an offender that's attacking your box. You can't be doing that. Like, um, so hopefully this last match is just an off match for him. But for me, Dest is on top.
We're probably going to continue to have this debate for many years
Yeah, a long
going
time.
forward.
Sure.
So we will continue to touch base on this one. But moving forward with the team, we're going to break down the goals. So this was a two-leg affair for those of you that didn't watch, which if you're watching this video, you probably did watch. But if you didn't watch, in the first leg, we played in Kingston, Jamaica, which shout out Kingston, Jamaica, first and forehand. That looks like a great place to catch a soccer game. But the USA only ended up winning that game 1-0, did keep a clean sheet, and the goal that was scored was by Ricardo Pepi in the first 5 minutes. So he is making a run while Christian Pulisic is doing Christian Pulisic things in the midfield. He breaks the back line right as the ball is played in from Christian Pulisic. He finds himself 1v1 with the goalkeeper. He takes it far post, hits the inside of the post, and the ball goes in for the USA to take the lead and would be the final scoreline of the game. This points to my point a couple of minutes ago with Ricardo Pepi being that backline runner and being very good at finding himself in those spaces to play. And it was a clean and tidy finish. And to start a match in the 5th minute with a goal under a new manager, like, you couldn't really ask for anything else. The rest of the game, we asked a lot of questions, but in the first 5 minutes, I was very pleased with how the boys were looking. What did you see from that goal, Grayson?
What I saw was a nice clinical finish, like on a dot, super pinpoint. It is a difficult finish when you're at that angle. You really have like a 3 foot square that you got to hit it in the bottom left corner to try to sneak it in, or you got to power it through near post. And I think Pepe just showed once again that he does have that eye for goal. He can work in those tight spaces. He stays on side, which is super important. And yeah, he gets the goal. So for me, that's exactly why Pepe's earning this starting spot right now.
Agreed. That was just a pure finisher's finish. When it left his foot, I did not think it was going in the back of the net. So I was delighted for him, for the squad. And right now, that's what I'm seeing from Pepe is that pure finishing ability. He's not doing a whole lot. Like, he's not beating his man all the time, taking on defenders 1v1, but he is finding the back of the net. Can't hate it.
So we would end up leaving Jamaica with a win on the road, which Ethan and I talked about in our live. The USA does not tend to play well in Jamaica. Only now 4 wins out of 11 or 12 matches that we've played in Jamaica. But then we come back to St. Louis for leg two, and sort of like in the first game, the USA gets the scoring going early with Christian Pulisic getting on the score sheet in the 13th minute. Weston McKennie has the ball out wide and he puts in a delectable cross towards the like it's a back post cross, but where Christian Pulisic ended up getting the ball, he was basically at the 6 yard line. Or the penalty spot, my fault. And straight out of the air, one touch, he rips it. It goes over Andre Blake, the Jamaican goalkeeper, and into the back of the net for a tidy finish from a great team move. Starting the game off hot, which again, you can't ask for anything more from the start of the game. So I'll jump to you, Ethan. How did you feel about this goal?
Just real quick on Pulisic, right? Because it's a great goal off a really good McKinney assist, but the attention sort of diverted to the celebration once he does the Trump dance for his celebration. He said himself that this wasn't political. He just thought it was a funny dance, but we thought the celebration was ignorant, and we do not support Trump on this podcast. We are an inclusive podcast, and Trump has taken a lot of bigoted stances that the City Boys just straight up oppose, flat out. And going forward, we really want to see the U.S. men's national team use their platform just to be inclusive and positive. That's what we want to see going forward, especially from the celebration category. Moving right along.
Indeed. I did think it was a clean goal, but yeah, overshadowed. Moving on, we did get another goal for Christian. Technically, I'm gonna give it to Christian, but it may have been an own goal. Another one that was built through the right side. I think this was Musa's assist, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Ball comes through the right side. Musa picks it up, lays it across the box. Um, I'm pretty sure it was Tanner Tessman or Ricardo
Yeah,
Pepi that dummies the ball, lets it
Yes.
slide through. And
great
then,
dummy from Tasman.
oh, very clean. Good awareness there to see a player coming in behind. Pulisic slides in, sends in a ball on the ground to the bottom right post, but takes a nice deflection off of a defender and slides in bottom left instead. Nice, clean, simple finish, and USA is flying at this point. It's 2-0 in the 33rd.
Yeah, at this point, we're 3-0 on aggregate. And I think it needs to be said, Andre Blake is a very serviceable goalkeeper. The fact that we put 5 past him isn't even really all his fault, because if you check the highlights or the replay of this goal, particularly, like, he had that post covered. If it doesn't take a deflection off the defender, it's a save. So like 5 goals getting past him when really you can only probably blame him for 2, maybe 3 of those goals going in. And the rest falls on the back line of Jamaica. But this goal was clean. The move from the offense throughout the entire game was very clean, and the deflection just it's a USA lucky bounce basically. And yeah, I'm gonna give the goal to Pep or Pulisic.
Deal. Who wants to chat about this next Ricardo Pepi banger?
I want to hear about Jacob talk about it, honestly.
Oh, all right, I'll take it. Yeah, so Pepe, my boy Pepe, shout out Pepe. He gets the ball in the attacking third with his back to goal. And we've talked about it before. Pepe's not great with his back to goal, but he takes the pass, does a half turn, gives a little hezzy fake, touches it towards the top of the box, and then it is a piss missile to the bottom right corner of this goal. He puts it around 2 defenders and Andre Blake going 100 miles an hour into the bottom right hand part of the goal. Had me losing my mind. I saw St. Louis was losing their mind in the stadium, and City up 3-0, 4-0 on aggregate. Jamaica doesn't look like they have a chance at this point, and the flock is flying, boys.
Dude, the vibes were high in the stadium at this point. I mean, the shirts had come off. The rain hadn't begun to fall yet, so the party was just on full blast. 3-0 up in the first half from this U.S. side that, frankly, was challenged too much by Jamaica in Jamaica. So that was really positive to see, especially from the new manager, Poch. I'll quickly describe Tim Weah's goal in the beautiful manner that I heard a high school student describe it in front of me. That was a screamer. That was just such a good goal. I what I see from that goal is pure confidence. To take it on the half volley like that, just wallop it across goal into the corner. Just great stuff from Tim Weah and really well deserved. He worked his tail off in this second leg in St. Louis, and to see him score a well deserved goal, especially after the dark place that he found himself in post the Panama game. So it's great to see Tim Weah flying and in good spirits with the manager as well.
Also, a fun stat that needs to be brought up: the U.S. soccer teams are undefeated when playing in St. Louis. The original soccer capital of the world is home to the best record for U.S. soccer games. So shout out the Lou.
Shout out the Lou.
And they packed that place out for a rainy Monday night, 21,000 on a Monday night, rainy and slightly cold, not very cold, but in November.
Yeah. Shout out to Lou on that one. The Jamaica team, Damari Gray specifically, was able to get 2 goals back in the second half. But I wanted to kind of talk about the differences between how Jamaica looked in leg one versus leg two. We saw Jamaica, just statistically, were really pushing the envelope going forward in the first leg. They had something like 16 shots or something like that in the first leg and looked a lot more cohesive going forward than in the second leg. And then their team, knowing they're down on aggregate after the first leg, if they want to move on in the tournament, they have to push forward. And they really weren't an attacking threat until the second half after the game. And the entire round is basically wrapped up. We're up 4-0 on aggregate, and then Jamaica starts attacking. I thought was a mismanage on their part.
What I saw from Jamaica in the second leg was uh I don't know. It seemed like they stopped caring about the result a little bit, and that allowed them to play freely. And I don't mean that in a negative way, like they dropped their shoulders and stopped caring. Like they just started to play a little more freely, and it seemed, yeah, like going down by 4 goals in St. Louis was the kick in the ass they needed.
Yeah, I want to praise Pochettino for his tactics there. I think that was the big reason that we did not see Jamaica almost at all in that first half was because of the way that USA was possessing the ball. Having Anthony push into that midfield really was a masterclass this time. It was his best showing in that midfield pivot, pushing forward and still having the time to run back when we were getting pressed back. But yeah, like really didn't see any threat from Jamaica until the second half. And I would put that really solely on Damari Gray. Um, he's a very talented player. Um, and he's out in the Saudi league right now. He's fantastic. Um,
Well,
but
how cool was it that we got to witness a Premier League matchup on 2 different CONCACAF national teams? Leon Bailey and Anthony Robinson running at each other is a matchup that, you will catch in England eventually. I thought another big difference from Jamaica's game in the first leg to the second leg was their focal point of the attack as well. In the first game, they really used that target striker Nicholson very often. They were just finding him every way possible, whether it was over the top, in between the center backs, or off the back of Tim Ream. And I thought utilizing him less in the second leg was it was not a good move for Jamaica. I thought that in the Nicholson versus Ream matchup, Nicholson wins generally. Against McKenzie, it's a different story, but yeah, Tim Ream did have a very good game in St. Louis.
Yeah, it felt like most of Jamaica's attack in the first half was ex only direct. They weren't building up through the midfield at all. When they would take the ball off USA, it was immediately trying to go over the top. And the communication between Mark McKenzie and Tim Ream was really on point in passing the runner off and being aware of the where the ball is at. I thought really it was Mark McKenzie who was locking up Nicholson, and Tim Ream was playing that more quarterback role on the back line. So yeah, really good round for the USA. They do move on to the semifinals to face a familiar and recent foe in Panama. They play March 20th and March 25th for the semifinals of the CONCACAF Nations League. I'm predicting a very similar lineup, probably similar camp, maybe a couple names in, a couple names out. But this seems to be the very similar pool of players that Pochettino is going to be bringing in. Weah will also be done serving his red card that he got in the last game that we played Panama in, and I'm sure he's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder. So if the betting lines are out, I would say Tim Weah to get a goal. Anytime goal scores, probably a good bet to have. But let's move into Grayson's love child of ding 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 kick clash, baby.
Yes, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Kid Clash. And honestly, we had to do it because Jamaica's got some heavyweights. Those kits are clean. And I know Ethan also wants to shout out their warm-up jackets.
Bro, because that's just one of the craziest, nicest teals I've ever seen. Like Miami Vice has had that kind of like teal color on lock forever. And so for Jamaica to be now a new challenger on that color front is great. I loved it.
Ooh, the
Um,
Jamaica's home kit is on sale right now on Adidas.com. Go check it out.
so because we put up the USA jerseys in the past in this round of Kit Clash, we're gonna be doing both the Jamaica home kit and the Jamaica away kit. And I'm gonna start first with the Jamaica home kit because it's gonna be short and sweet. That is way too much yellow on a jersey for me. The whole fit, yellow jersey, yellow shorts, yellow sock. It's a lot. Way too much yellow. It's not a nice yellow. Yellow's the ugly stepchild of the rainbow in my opinion. So I'm going to rate this kit pretty freaking low at a 2.5.
Okay.
No love for the bananas.
No.
You know what this kit kind of reminds me of, though? It reminds me of that early 2000s Brazil jersey the
Mm.
with the green stripes up the stomach, which I really like. But this has the additional detail of having great details in the kit. So I'm actually really high on this kit. I like this jersey a lot. I will agree with you, Jacob. That was too much yellow in the full kit. That was too much. The kit alone, though, for me does go hard. I'm gonna say 8.3 for the Jamaica home kit. Yeah, very
That is
good.
so high.
Oh wait,
Yeah, I
wait.
like that a lot.
Is the one that we saw at the match day, was that the away kit?
Yes.
Okay,
They're
okay.
green with the
Yeah, with the design. Okay. I'll give my take on the home kit real quick. I do rate the home kit. Jesus Christ. I like it. I'm not gonna say eight. I'm gonna give it a six, but I do like it. I'd wear that. Um,
See, that's what I mean. Like I would wear that jersey probably.
but let's go ahead and make Jacob a little bit happier and talk about this away kit.
I'm going to be revisiting my friendship with the two of you after this Kit Clash. Um, yeah, on the flip side, this away kit for me goes really hard. It's got notes of like the Nigeria kits that we've seen in the past. I really am a
Mm.
big fan of the pattern design, both on the front and the back. They've got the reggae boys on the top of the neck, which is sick. I really rate this kit. I'm gonna do a flip side and give this an 8.5 because I would wear this kit. And yeah, I don't know if I'd rock it because that's a lot of pattern for me, but I would wear it.
I'm gonna do again. I'm just gonna go for the same rating. I think an 8.3. That is also a lovely kit. That's really all I have to say. That's gorgeous.
Hey,
Yeah.
word. I'm gonna give this a 9.3.
Woo!
I
Wow.
really fuck with this kit, not just because of the jersey, specifically the way it flows into the shorts, like with the full kit, I think looks really good. Um, Something that I really rated was it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a yellow stripe that's on like the side that kind of like bleeds into the pants. The yellow stripe goes around the back of the shorts. I think it looks fire. Very cool. Very cool. Um, this is yeah, 9.3, I think, for me. So I really rate this one. Jamaica stepping it up. Stepping it up. But that wraps up Kit Clash for this week. Any final notes on the USA match before we talk some grab bag?
Before we get into grab bag, just a note for future viewers. We will be doing another watch along, except this time this will be the US women's national team game against England on November 30th. So that's in a week from the day we're recording it. It's in X amount of days from the time you're watching this video. So tune into the YouTube. We will be live watching this game and covering the women's game for the first time on this channel, which I'm really
Yeah.
excited about.
It's
I
gonna be
know
hype.
everybody else is excited about it too. So, yeah, that's my last note on US soccer. Anybody else?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. Just I want to give a shout out to St. Louis, 21,000 strong. We really popped out. Got to see some people at the game, which was awesome. Just never fails to impress me the love for soccer that city has.
Yep, yep. I will say post match, the guys did their quick little lap, but I was very close to Patrick Schulte. He came by, and I think some of his family was sitting next to me, so he did come by and wave, say hi, and stuff. So
I think he was specifically waving at you, Grayson.
I think so too. I think
Yeah.
so too. We did get I was sitting with my one of my buddies, Lucas, and there was a Jamaican player that was warming up for the match, and he was stretching, touching his toes. Every time he went down to touch his toes, Lucas would go, ugh. And the Jamaica player on the third one, he was like he looked up at us and he was like, oh shit. That was pretty funny.
Getting in the opponent's heads early. Shout out Lucas.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will say before we get into some St. Louis City grab bag news, I did want to point out that right now, currently, Juventus is playing against AC Milan, and we have a Yunus Musa playing right wing for AC
Mm.
Milan, and we got Weston McKennie playing the number 10 for Juventus. Um, Pulisic also came on. I'm trying to see who he came on for.
I
Uh,
think he's nursing an injury right now, or not at full health.
Pulisic came on for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, so he's going to be sitting in the midfield unless he got pushed up to winger. But yeah, just got a couple USA guys in the starting lineup in the Serie A. One of the biggest Serie A matchups of the year, so it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. But let's get into it. If you are a fan of St. Louis City, which you're here, so most of you are, I feel like. Some of you guys are just here for USA, whatever. But if you're a St. Louis City fan, you may have heard that there are some rumors about who our next head coach is going to be. Who's going to be cooking in the kitchen. And this gentleman's name is Olaf Melberg. Um, it's not official yet. It's just a rumor, but it is getting reported by a lot of people.
Tom Bogert, Jeff Carlisle. two pretty reliable U.S. soccer sources, Manu Veth, who has reported on a lot of the St. Louis City transfer news,
Matt
are reporting
Baker.
this. Yeah, which, probably the first mover on any St. Louis City news is Matt. He's one of the first names I see. Um, this is a really interesting move. I'm gonna try and say the name of the club that he's the manager of right now, but
Good luck.
he is currently in charge of Bromopayakarna, who
Bromapoy Karna.
that is a lot of letters in a word. Um, who seem to be not the best side right now. From what I'm seeing, it seems like a big part of his role is being able to overperform the budget of teams that he is leading. If I'm being honest, though, all that I know about this guy has been from social media, though. Blue Sky and other St. Louis City fans and sickos reporting on. So I probably don't have enough information to make an informed opinion on this, but we've
When
said it
has that
once.
ever stopped you, though?
Uh, I will say that I trust in Lutz. All right, Lutz knows what he's doing, so I'm gonna say that this is probably a good decision. What's y'all's take on this initially?
It is very tricky. Like Ethan mentioned in our group chat, most of the news regarding Olaf is in Swedish. Uh, I can read you this headline. Avslovar Olaf Medved blir tränare St. Louis City SC. Let's go. I know that part. Very, very difficult. Maybe I need to work on my translation here, but yeah, based on his, from what I've learned here, uh, I don't know if I would. I'm not super excited about the name, considering I've never heard of him. Um, I knew Lutz was gonna cook with some overseas guys that, of course, I'm not super familiar with. And then again, like, let's also give us Edward Leuven and Klaus, who I had never heard of before then either. So I do, like Ethan said, I do trust in Lutz's ability to pull in some good talent for St. Louis City. But at the same time, I did really start to root for a couple of the names that we had mentioned, that being Jim Curtin, that being John Hackworth, cementing his role long term. But if this is the way that St. Louis is going to take us, then I'm all for it, and we're gonna root behind the new manager if this is what it ends up being.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a fan of it yet. Obviously, we are a big Let Lutz Cook podcast, and we will stand on that until Lutz gives us reasons to not let him cook anymore.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm really hoping that this isn't the start of that. Like, obviously, like Ethan said, I am not informed at all about this manager. But the Jim Curtin news really excited me because of what he was able to do with Philadelphia Union. Philadelphia Union historically has been a really good MLS side, and a lot of their recent success is due to him. Granted, they did not have a good season this year, as every team goes through a bad season, including St. Louis. Um, so also with the history that, Hackworth has with Jim Curtin, it was going to leave a like somewhat sour taste in my mouth to see Hackworth replaced once again by Jim Curtin. But yeah, we'll see. Going forward, honestly, probably a lot of city managers are going to be on short leashes with fan and club because of the cry for success from the city. We did really good in our first year and had a tumultuous second year. So going forward, like your manager, first and foremost, is going to be at the front of a lot of those terrible results that we experienced this year. So Olaf, beware. It's a hot seat, brother. People have been shuffled in and out of that a lot. So we'll see. I'm excited to see St. Louis actually announce it though. The club actually come out with some news.
Yeah, still everything is tentative, until he puts pen to paper, it's not official.
City fans, super excited to be here. Can't wait to get started. See you soon.
It's interesting. He nearly joined Toronto FC as manager in 2013. He was a candidate for the Swedish international team as well. Just someone that brings a lot of questions, whereas someone like Jim Curtin or Danny Cruz might have provided us a lot more answers. Right now, STL fans are still figuring things out, and I think that's kind of where we're at in this offseason. But I'm feeling optimistic.
I mean, and to be fair, it's technically not even the off season yet. MLS playoffs haven't even finished. So like we still have a long way to go as St. Louis fans. I'm not too worried. Like, I was feeling some type of way. I was like, yo, like the season's been over for like 3 weeks now. I want to see something. But at the same time, like MLS hasn't even concluded yet. So don't worry about it, STL fans. We are in good hands. I think that this next season is going to be a new look STL, regardless of what happens. But I'm very excited for the future.
Quick update on City 2. The head coach of City 2 has moved on to Portland. So there is a new head coach for City 2 in David Critchley. And other City 2 news is they have done some roster reshuffling.
Hmm.
McSorley, Dimitra Silly or Killy, Antwi and Kuzain have all retained their roster spots. Declined contracts was Gomez, Kinsner, Betcher, McKenna, and Benitez, and that is not Simon Betcher. That is a different Betcher. And then Armstrong, Kidd, and Hackworth are currently in the negotiating contract status. The news with Hackworth's son being in a negotiating contract status kind of gives me news that Hackworth's probably not going to be the head coach next year. Otherwise, they'd probably sign Hackworth's son again. And then Ethan brought it up in our group chat, but a surprising decline contract for us was the Kinsner decline. I thought he was a really hopeful center back of the future for the team. I'm guessing either the money wasn't right or his performances weren't right throughout the season in order for City 2 to keep him. But yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, Jacob. I thought that he was potentially one for the first team eventually. The MLS Next Pro is an interesting position for a lot of players to be in, especially older. And when I say older, I mean like older than 22. You know what I mean? Like these are players that probably want to be in environments with other professionals, probably more similar to the USL or USL2, instead of a developmental league, I would say, for younger and homegrown players. So I hope that is kind of the situation that's panning out for the players who decline to return or the club declined to return. Wish them nothing but the best. But I'm excited. City 2 still, once again, a very successful season, I think, by any measure. Caden Glover and Mackay Joyner, Tyson Pierce, all homegrown players getting a lot of consistent professional minutes. So I love what I'm seeing, and I wish that new coach a lot of luck. He's got big shoes to fill.
Indeed. Well, any final news or any final grab bags before we round it out?
I think I just want to say before we finish this to please subscribe. We would love to get 100 subscribers before the year ends. We got a little over a month left, so if you are listening still and you haven't hit the subscribe button, we would appreciate that a lot. It's the best way to support the channel, and we would love to have you back. We got a lot of cool plans and a lot of good stuff coming up, so hit that subscribe button.
And yeah, we do still have our merch shop open. So nothing makes a good Christmas gift like a good St. Louis City sweater, hat. We'll see. We'll talk about the scarves in the future. It may be possible to get your own city scarf. We'll see. We'll talk. But yeah.
Yeah, along the lines of shout outs, for those of you that are watching this video still, and for those of you that came over from Blue Sky, shout out to you guys.
Hey, yeah.
It is a newer app, and we are one of the newer people over there on the app, and the growth on that thing has been crazy. So shout out to you guys that came over from there. If you're not following us on Blue Sky, you can follow us at Ethan.
St. Louis CityBoys.bsky.social.
It's a mouthful.
At St. Louis City Boys.
just look us up. It's the same whatchamacallit logo tag as the YouTube channel. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure you follow us and rate 5 stars. Like Ethan said, subscribe. We're trying to get to 100. We're at like 74 right now. So if 26 of you that aren't subscribed want to just drop that subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. Merch is still going on. We are gonna have a Black Friday sale. I'm gonna say this again. We're having a Black Friday sale.
Ooh.
What am I missing? All of the socials are going to be tagged in the description below. They're all the same thing, basically. Go drop us a follow on those. And most importantly, the number one rule on this podcast is make sure you tell your mother you love her. Peace. USA. STL. USA. STL.
We'll take it.